on stage in Egilsstaðir, Österland, I would like to introduce my good friend Bård Jervan from Norway. It has been amazing, and I was also thinking about one thing that my good friend Laura Vilbergsdóttir said when we were working on a project, Nordic project together in 2011. We started this project, Creative Communities. And actually, Signy and Daniel Bistrom were also a part of that project in 2011. And we ended that 3-year project also in a conference we called Make It Happen. And that also happened here in Egilsstaðir. And I always remember what Laura said in one video. She said, I don't understand this. We only meet good people. There is only good people always around us. I don't think that is coincidence, but it was so it came back to me yesterday when I was meeting all of our Nordic partners here, in real life in Egilsstaðir, that those are such good people that we have in this project that has become really good friends here also. So I just wanted to share that with you. So good people here in the Nordics. So I will introduce you a little bit, Bård. He is the senior partner at Mimir and co-founder of Smart Nordic. He is an expert in sustainable tourism development with over 25 years of experience across the Nordic. Bård has led numerous projects and initiatives focused on innovation-driven tourism and development, cluster formation, so I also call him my cluster brother, and the new strategy development. He is, like we would say in Icelandic, hafsjór af upplýsingum. I'm so glad Bård could be here with us today, and I'm looking forward to hear what we can learn from our big brothers in Norway. The stage is yours.
Thank you for the nice introduction. I have also been lucky having the opportunity to work with the new Norwegian tourism strategy that was launched in April-May this year. This strategy was asked for by the minister just before the pandemic hit us. So we started working on this. The minister said to Innovation Norway, which is the organization for regional development in Norway, which also covers Visit Norway. They said, we want a new strategy for Norway. Ask all over Norway, all members of the tourism industry, all stakeholders to give input to this work. So we'll have a joint strategy and you deliver it back to us when you're finished. So that's why it's called From the Tourism Industry to the Government. And this process, just the day we had the first meeting, and the company Mimir that I'm working for, we were engaged by Innovation Norway to help them with this strategy. So just on the day we had the first meeting, the COVID-19 hit the world. So we had to change everything. But we did all this digitally. And one of my roles was to have roundtable discussions with about 450 players in the Norwegian tourism sector and collect that, and we use that as part of the insight for forming this new strategy. And I'll give you a short presentation of that and emphasize how we also have dealt with food and food tourism in that. Yeah. So, yeah, okay. The tourism sector in Norway also had a flourishing time just before the pandemic, like in Iceland, like in all the other Nordic countries. It grew by 6% about yearly, and it became a big industry or sector in Norway with 4.2% of the GDP was from tourism, and especially international tourism grew a lot. And we had the same kind of challenges as you have faced with rapid development and also some places we had discussions about over-tourism, too many people at the same time, at the same places, and all these things. At the same time, we created a lot of new jobs, there were a lot of investments, and then suddenly everything, stopped. But when we started working with this, we also tried to define some deep drivers, what are changing the sector, what are the challenges, and in addition to COVID-19, the challenges is digitalization is a deep driver, changing a lot of things within this sector. Also, the sustainability goals. And we said that sustainability is not negotiable. You can't negotiate on sustainability. You need to be sustainable in order to have a future. So we did put that as a platform for the strategy work, and we also looked at what are they doing other places. OECD made a report just about the time we started. They collected all national tourism strategy from all the OECD countries, and they said that there are some common challenges in this picture that you need, that all national strategies from now on, tourism strategies should take into consideration. And one of them is, and one of the main things is that you need to have a holistic perspective on how to develop tourism from now on if you are to succeed. That means that you have to understand, like we had talked about already, what are the guests looking for, and what makes companies profitable, but also what gains local communities, what should be the outcome of all this, and also about how can tourism enrich local life, how can it be a part of rural development, how can it create jobs, how can it create a future, and how can more of the value creation stay in the local communities. The other presenters today also have touched these things. We tried to put that into, give it a systematic approach. In the center of the circle, it's not translated. Many of you possibly can read it. It's also about how do we take care of the resources that we are using for developing this sector. It's about how we take care of nature, our national identity, the culture, people. That needs to be in the inner circle here. And we said, I used the term tourism industry when I introduced this. We changed the approach, and we said it's not a good thing to call it an industry. It's a value-creating ecosystems with a lot of players, both public players on a national, regional, local level. It's organizations, it's voluntary work, it's culture, it's businesses. It's a lot of things that needs to be taken in consideration. And in order to understand how we can develop this holistic perspective on tourism. So we say we don't longer call it an industry, we call it a value-creating ecosystem. And the goals we did put up was we want to increase the value creation within the sector, and we want to create more jobs, and we want to develop it as an important industry for Norway for the next 10 years. So we want that arrow to go up. We want also the effects that tourism, when you bring consumers to places, it gives a lot of opportunity for other sectors within shops and yeah, you know everything about this. The ripple effects. We wanted to have a good distribution of the ripple effects in this strategy. That was a goal, and also the customer satisfaction should be raised in order to, because Norway, as all of the Nordics are expensive countries, we need to take care of the guest satisfaction and to be able to deliver and get paid for it. So we wanted that arrow to raise as well, and also this contribution to attractive communities and build good societies where tourism is part of the value creation. We want to increase that part of it as well. And one arrow needs to go down, because Norway, like your countries, have signed the Paris Agreement. We need to bring the emissions down at the same time. So that's a challenge, but we did put it this way in order to understand what kind of arrows do we want to point upwards and which one needs to point downwards. So when we looked at what are the challenges, when we should make strategies out of this, we said that what's the situation for Norway? And I think we have been, Brynja also talked about this today, it's a situation where nobody questions the nature in Norway, nobody questions the country as a place to explore, and it's peaceful, it's a modern, well-developed society, high degree of social security, you're safe there, all these things are in place. But if you look at the other side, there's a discussion about, do we give people enough value for money? Do they understand culture, art, this part of the Norwegian society, or is nature-based experiences dominating so much that they don't see this other picture? If you remember the first picture I have on the outside of the strategy, it's a cultural experience, and that's with purpose. It was not the midnight sun, it was not the northern light, it was not a big fjord, it was a cultural experience. Because also, and then we come to food, good food and cuisine, like Brynja talked about earlier today, it's not part of the picture that tourists from abroad have of Norway. So it's a challenge. Also, we are not looked upon as very social, where we don't invite people home. So these are the challenges that we saw. And in order to deal with this, when we talked about strategies and actions to deal with this, I'll tell you a little bit about this afterwards, but also this high yield, low impact dimension. Also the previous presenter talked about this. It's about sustainability. It's also about if you are to accept high emissions, there has to be something on the other side of the weight. Then you need to value it also with the value creation that different kinds of tourism brings into Norway. So we are working with a so-called climate calculator on this, in order so you can see that if we bring Germans on weekly trips and they're interested in food, yes, there is an emission to fly them here, but they will give so much value creation on the ground that it's okay. But you can have other segments out there will not fit into this. So the discussion in Norway now is to find more value creation in the market and combine it with low impact, as low impact as possible. This is a challenge because we want tourism to grow, but at the same time we want the emissions down. And the calculator will help us understand what are the right segments out there to look for. On the strategic measures, it's about capabilities. We have said we need to increase the capability for value creation. We need to increase the capability to deal with the digitalization, the green shift, and change behaviors in the consumers. And also we need to deal, if we are having tourists growing again like it did before the pandemic, we need to deal with the flow of tourists in better ways. So it's the management, the capability to manage growth and to avoid situations that we had before the pandemic with over-tourism and complaints about the tourism development also from local societies, local inhabitants. So that's the strategic measures. And then there were 23 initiatives that we should, on a concrete level, deal with in order to make this happen. I'm not able to go into all of those, but so we want to have an innovative cultural experience program in order to bring more culture into the Norwegian tourism product and collaborate more between the tourism sector and the cultural sector. That's one thing. We also want to develop our position as the owner of friluftsliv, the way of experiencing nature. Friluftsliv is not even translated. It's called friluftsliv because it's different from outdoor recreation. It has some values attached to it. It's closely related to our lifestyle, like it is in the other Nordic countries as well. But we want to do more about this to differentiate Norway from other countries in the market, to give an add-on to the outdoor experience based on our friluftsliv traditions. And then we come to the food. So we have a strategy for a national concept for food and culinary experiences as part of the national strategy. And we are working on now how to develop this, how to organize it, how to give it content. But in order to meet what Brynja expected as some part of the strategy, it's mentioned that we should learn from this Nordic Food project when we develop. Yeah, it's in the national strategy for Norway to make use of all the findings, all the things that comes from this project as well. And then, why is food tourism and food so important in tourism? Let's listen to this guy. He's one of the main players in the Bocco store in Norway.
Var ca. 1/3 av alle kommersielle gjestedøgn i Norge utenlandske gjester. De satte til livs ca. 33 millioner måltider i løpet av det året. Man kan også snu det, slik vi ser det, og si at vi fikk 33 millioner muligheter til å gi våre gjester en smaksopplevelse, en måltidsopplevelse, norske råvarer. Vi kaller dette for måltidseksport. Stadig flere ute i verden reiser for å oppleve lokal gastronomi. Og nettopp derfor er det god næringsutvikling å øke etterspørselen, kvaliteten og lønnsomheten på alle disse måltidene. Det er bra for oss som bor her, det er bra for landet, det er bra for restauranter og spisesteder, og det er bra for reiselivet, matprodusenter og den norske kulturnæringen. Dette er måltidsturisme. Et godt måltid, det gir deg noe å være glad for, og det gir deg noe å snakke om. Men selv om Norge har tatt syvmilssteg, gastronomiske syvmilssteg de siste 30 årene, gjenstår det både prioriteringer og økt samarbeid for å gå de neste syvmilsstegene. Og vi er klare til å bidra.
Not for the drawer. I'll tell you about why it's said that. This strategy is in one page like this. It's translated to English. You can load it down on Visit Norway. Inside, all the knowledge we collected through this process is also public. You can download it. It's in Norwegian, but for those of you who can read it, it's everything we used nationally and internationally to make this strategy is available for you. I'll just finish this presentation with another video. And this is, we had the vision for the whole thing is also attached to this strategy of showing that it's too important for the drawer. It's very so that there is a road trip in Norway now where Innovation Norway brings this strategy to all destinations, all regions, and have speeches with mayors, with local businesses, with everybody around Norway in order to make it understandable that this strategy is too important for the drawer.
By the year 2030, Norway has become a sustainable travel destination. International guests arrive through green corridors, and we're called the seamless country because traveling is so easy here. New job opportunities have brought new life to communities of all sizes. Visitors come to experience our nature, culture, and way of life. A good place to live is a good place to visit. We've created this success story together. The result is an exciting adventure for the Norwegian tourism industry and for our visitors. At least that's the plan, as long as the strategy that will take us there doesn't end up in a drawer. To be sure, we've secured ourselves against just that. Not for the drawer.
Thank you.